Our top story, night curfew will now be imposed in the national capital from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. every night starting tomorrow. The Delhi government has made that announcement as the city reported 290 fresh cases of COVID, a 16% jump from yesterday. One related death has happened in the last 24 hours as well. That announcement also coming as the positivity rate crossed 0.5%.
Earlier today, NDTV visited several spots across the national capital, including a Delhi zoo, a popular spot for tourists to come, the markets like Sarojini Nagar Market, Lajpat Nagar Market. All these visuals on your screen right now will tell you that there is absolutely no following of protocols, basic COVID protocols. Violations of all these COVID protocols are taking place, and people are flouting the most basic rules when it comes to COVID. And now the Delhi government, in addition to the other decisions they have made in the wake of rising cases in the national capital, they have imposed a night curfew. Remember, curfews is something that state governments go in for first. So the Delhi government has now will start to imply night curfews starting at 11 p.m. to end at 5 a.m. starting from tomorrow, which is Monday. And this night curfew, according to the Delhi government, will help in terms of crowd management and sort of controlling the crowds that sort of move around the city, especially given that there's festivities and there's a festival week ahead of us with the New Year's coming ahead of us. So yes, a night curfew being imposed by the Delhi government at a time when Delhi is also reporting a very high number of COVID cases. Remember, 290 COVID cases have been reported today. It's also seeing a high positivity rate. It is increasing. And in addition to that, the number of Omicron cases are also rising in the national capital. There are 79 Omicron cases currently in Delhi. So yes, Delhi is now the state that is heading in for a night curfew in the wake of, once again, a rise in COVID cases and Omicron cases.
And that wasn't all. Mumbai today reporting 922 new cases of coronavirus detected in the last 24 hours. And that's a 21% jump from yesterday when the metropolis logged 757 cases. This is the city's highest single-day spike in nearly 7 months. So more restrictions, more strict precautions in several states. But despite this, huge crowds of people have been present, not just at election rallies in states like Uttar Pradesh, but also in metros like Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata, where festival celebrations have revved up. But those who are making the rules seem to be breaking them as well. Take a look.
Despite COVID restrictions and multiple appeals by the authorities, crowds came out in large numbers. This when Delhi reported its highest single-day spike in over 6 months and Mumbai its highest one-day spike in nearly 3 months. Delhi reports 290 COVID cases in the last 24 hours, which is the highest daily rise in over 6 months. In Mumbai, 922 new COVID-19 cases have been reported, which is the highest in nearly 7 months. A school in Maharashtra's Ahmednagar had to be sealed after 33 more students were found to be COVID positive on Sunday, taking the tally of infected students to 52. Amid the looming threat of Omicron spread in India, political rallies continue through the day as many states have imposed night curfews.
दुनिया के कई देशों में कोरोना के नए वेरिएंट ओमिक्रॉन की वजह से संक्रमण बढ़ रहा है। भारत में भी कई लोगों के ओमिक्रॉन से संक्रमित होने का पता चला है। मैं आप सभी से आग्रह करूंगा कि पैनिक न करें। हाँ, सावधान रहें, सतर्क रहें, मास्क उसका भरपूर उपयोग करें और हाथों को थोड़ी थोड़ी देर पर धुलना, इन बातों को हमें भूलना नहीं है।
In poll-bound Uttar Pradesh, not only the ruling party but the Congress also was found to be violating COVID protocol. On Sunday morning, a marathon was organized on behalf of Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, an event that the party defended.
प्रियंका गांधी के लिए एक मापदंड और मोदी जी के लिए 25,000 स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन इकट्ठे करने का एक दूसरा मापदंड, और ये है प्रधानमंत्री के लिए 25,000 लोग सरकार के पैसे से, सरकार के खर्चे से सरकारी आयोजन किया जा रहा है। एक राजनीतिक व्यक्ति और एक राजनीतिक दल तो नुकसान उठाने को तैयार है जनहित में, पर माफ कीजिए सरकार की जवाबदेही और जिम्मेवारी क्या है।
With Sohit Mishra in Mumbai, Bureau Report, NDTV.
In a late-night address on Saturday, Prime Minister Modi making some big announcements about India's vaccination drive. A third dose, called a precaution dose, will be given to those above the age of 60 with comorbidities as well as healthcare and frontline workers. The Prime Minister also announced vaccinations for children between 15 and 18 starting from the 3rd of January. Well, some of those big announcements left some even bigger questions, but at the same time, opposition parties were quick to claim credit for the Prime Minister's announcements.
60 वर्ष से ऊपर की आयु के कोमॉर्बिडिटी वाले नागरिकों को उनके डॉक्टर के सलाह पर वैक्सीन की प्रिकॉशन डोज का विकल्प उनके लिए उपलब्ध होगा। साथियों, 15 साल से 18 साल की आयु के बीच के जो बच्चे हैं, अब उनके लिए देश में वैक्सीनेशन प्रारंभ होगा। मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों,
Finally, a big milestone in India's vaccination program, the Prime Minister announcing booster shots for those above 60 and vaccination for 15 to 18-year-olds starting the new year of 2022. Soon after began a Twitter war among the opposition over taking credit for the announcements made by the Prime Minister, with the Congress asking for the logic behind vaccinating children above 15 and not above 12.
Why have you not formed a policy? आपकी नीति क्यों नहीं है 15 साल से कम के युवाओं के लिए? और वो भी तब जब आपने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को 22 जून को शपथ पत्र देकर कहा कि हाँ, हम 12 साल से ऊपर तो अभी लगा सकते हैं।
Children, however, are excited.
And yesterday our Prime Minister addressed our nation and he told us that there will be vaccination starting for all the children, and I'm extremely excited that we will be able to continue our normal lives, we will be able to go to the school.
Meanwhile, the medical community has welcomed the decision, calling it a step in the right direction.
The vaccination program for the kids which has started, so that is something which everybody was looking forward to, and it has been announced, which is a right move ahead in the current times when we are seeing a surge of the variant.
और इसके साथ साथ बच्चों में, क्योंकि एक ग्रुप था जो कि ज़्यादा प्रोन था इन्फेक्शन के लिए, और इसमें यदि वैक्सीनेशन हो जाएगा तो निश्चित रूप से ये बच्चों को भी सुरक्षा कवच मुहैया कराएगा।
The Prime Minister's announcement comes as a good news, a big milestone indeed in India's vaccination program. But some basic questions remain unanswered for now. Will the third shot be the same as the first two doses? Will there be a new vaccine? Will the vaccine be made available so quickly? In Delhi, Shonakshi Chakravarti for NDTV.
2 more cases of the Omicron coronavirus variant were detected in Chandigarh after samples of 5 family contacts of a previous Omicron positive case were sent for genome sequencing to New Delhi. 2 of these were found to be positive. One is an 80-year-old male who is hypertensive but asymptomatic currently. The second is a 45-year-old male who was first reported as RT-PCR negative and discharged. And that means India now has 435 reported Omicron cases. 110 of those are in Maharashtra alone, 79 in Delhi, 38 each in Telangana and Karnataka, 34 in Tamil Nadu. Gujarat now has 43 cases, Kerala 37, Rajasthan 22. Haryana and Odisha have 4 cases each, Jammu and Kashmir 3, West Bengal has 3, Andhra Pradesh 4, UP 2, Chandigarh 3, Ladakh and Uttarakhand have a case each, as does Himachal Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh now has 8 cases. A committee will be formed to look into the withdrawal of the controversial Armed Forces Special Powers Act in Nagaland. This is what the state's Chief Minister, Nefu Rio, has tweeted after a meeting with Union Home Minister Amit Shah this afternoon. The demand for the withdrawal of the controversial law has spiked in the state after 14 civilians died earlier this month in a botched operation by the army and the retaliatory violence that followed in the state's Mon district. Well, the army has now expressed regret over Nagaland killings. It's talked about the loss of lives as being sad and unfortunate. That statement comes after the centre decided to set up that panel on AFSPA. The army has apologized for the 14 lives lost and encouraged people to share material and assist in their inquiry.
Nagaland Chief Minister Nefu Rio tweeted that centre has decided to form a committee to look into withdrawal of Armed Forces Special Power Act from Nagaland. The committee will submit its report in 45 days and a court of inquiry against the army personnel involved in the firing to be initiated. All those against whom a probe is initiated will remain suspended. And also, government job for next to kin of the 14 youths who have died in firing. These decisions were taken in a meeting between Amit Shah, Nagaland CM, and his deputy Patton, and former Chief Minister T.R. Zeliang, and BJP's Northeast go-to man and Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma on 23rd December in New Delhi. The timing is significant, as last week Nagaland Assembly passed a resolution seeking centre to repeal ASPA from Northeast. Pressure had been mounting ever since the killing of 14 youths in Mon district on December 4 and 5 by armed forces, leading to widespread protest in the area, including total non-cooperation with the armed forces. Amid mounting protests, the army today expressed regret over Nagaland killings, loss of lives sad and unfortunate.
तो कांग्रेस पार्टी का स्पष्ट डिमांड है और डिमांड पर ही आ जाता हूं. एक तो असत्य का शहंशाह अमित शाह को तुरंत इस्तीफा देना चाहिए, क्योंकि इनकी आदत सी बन गई झूठ बोलना. आप तो पार्लियामेंट में ही लगातार झूठ बोलते हैं.
Army assures justice to the people of Nagaland. The victim families from Nagaland's Oting village say justice is all they want.
Gramin brado, jopi dibo, poisa dibo, inaga koitage. Husage kune marise, ki hoise, ki naga hoise. It is sop to Amikando, evident, pavo lage.
There is an anger like never before. There's intense pressure from the public on the civil organizations. The government has shown today, after meetings with the Home Minister, is a good move that they've done something, but I doubt it'll be very simple, for the civil organizations to retract their demands as of now.
Government's move to review Armed Forces Special Power Act is definitely a welcome move, but one has to wait if the protesting groups climb down from their demands of trial of the army jawans in civilian courts and an apology from no less than Union Home Minister. In Guwahati, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
Time for a very quick break. Still ahead, more instances of Christmas celebrations now being disrupted in Assam and in Haryana. We get you details in a moment. India has seen a rise in cases of violence against religious minorities recently. Churches have been attacked, Christmas celebrations disrupted in several places. In the latest instance of this, in Assam's Silchar last night, there was a major commotion in Church Road when right-wing group members disrupted Christmas celebrations at night, forcing hundreds of people from other religions to leave the church premises. Members who claimed to be from the Bajrang Dal stopped the celebrations. The oldest Presbyterian church in the region, situated at the Ambika Patti of Silchar, organized several programs during Christmas where people from all religions were present.
চাই না যে খ্রিস্টানরা তারা আমরা কোনো প্রবলেম নাই আমরা যে আউটসাইডার মানুষ যে আউটসাইডার মানুষটা এন্ট্রি আমরা বহুত খারাপ লাগে দেখুন আমরা আজকে সকালে গেছে একটা তুলসী দিবস কেউ জানে না এই জিনিসটা যে তুলসী দিবস আজকে সকালে তুলসী দিবস উদযাপন করতো তারা রাস্তায় রাস্তায় বক্স বাজার মেরি ক্রিসমাস এখানে মোমবাতি জ্বালার ফটো উঠে এটা একটা যুক্তিসঙ্গত মাত হয় না আমরা চাই সবে ক্রিসমাস করতে।
Meanwhile, a statue of Jesus Christ was vandalized at a church in Haryana's Ambala this afternoon. The police are analysing CCTV footage but haven't yet been able to identify the criminals. A Christmas carnival was disrupted at a Haryana private school by a right-wing mob on Thursday.
उन लोगों को पकड़ने के लिए हमने प्रयास शुरू किए। 3 टीमें, एक CIU 1 के नेतृत्व में, एक CIU 2 के नेतृत्व में और एक SHO अम्बाला कैंट के नेतृत्व में हमने गठित की। CCTV फुटेज हमने हासिल कर ली है। उसमें 2 लड़के इस वारदात को अंजाम देते हुए नज़र आ रहे हैं। हम उस CCTV की जो फुटेज है उसके आधार पर हमें उम्मीद है कि जल्दी ही हम ऐसे तत्वों को गिरफ्तार कर लेंगे।
76 Supreme Court lawyers have written to the Chief Justice of India to take suo motu cognizance of 2 hate speeches. The letter highlights 2 separate events organised in Delhi by the Hindu Yuva Vahini and in Haridwar by the Yati Narsingh Anand on 17th and 19th December. The hate speeches consisted of open calls for genocide of a particular community, and the letter says the speeches delivered were not just hate speeches but amounted to an open call for murder and are a grave threat not just to the unity and integrity of the country but also endanger the lives of millions of citizens. In view of the seriousness of these threats, the Chief Justice is asked to take suo motu cognizance and take action against the guilty.